From 12 News, this is Newsmakers.
Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. Another week, another round of headlines on the Washington Bridge crisis. This week, a visit by the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg toured the now-closed bridge just days after the McKee administration announced it needs to be rebuilt, an announcement that means at least 2 years of continued headaches for motorists. Now, tearing down the damaged westbound side and building a new one will take a lot of tax dollars, an estimated tab of up to $300 million. State officials are hoping the federal government will open the checkbook. This week on Newsmakers, my colleague Ted Nesi got an exclusive one-on-one interview with Buttigieg, where Ted pressed him on that very issue. But first, 12 News reporter Sheena Lasciuto has an up-close look at the Secretary's walking tour of the westbound Washington Bridge.
Governor, how are you? Really good today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for lining up the sunshine.
I heard you had a good breakfast this morning.
We sure did, yeah.
Following a one-on-one meeting with East Providence Mayor Bob DeSilva,
we went to Francesca's on Broadway.
U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg meets up with many of Rhode Island's leaders on the Washington Bridge.
We're going to be working closely with RIDOT. We have been every step of the way.
Perhaps the most action this stretch has seen since the abrupt closure on December 11th.
Welcome to Rhode Island.
Thank you.
We're going to build a bridge.
We're here to help, yeah.
RIDOT Director Peter Alviti leading the tour, giving the nation's top transportation official a first-hand look. This is also the first time a TV camera has been allowed to take a close-up look at the work zone, where engineers ultimately found deficiencies.
We're going to build it.
Let's get this done.
We're on now part of the cantilever structure that we found the defects in.
While congressional leaders help paint a picture of the traffic impacts Rhode Islanders see every day.
This goes right through the middle of downtown. During rush hour, the backups are pretty bad. We've got 3 hospitals in Providence with emergency rooms all on that side. But seriously, thank you so much for coming around.
And as the tour comes to an end, the westbound side of the bridge returns to the state we've all become familiar with, a ghost town.
And he was very receptive to the way that we're going to move forward with it. And I'm sure we'll be having more and more discussions about the funding, which is the next most important topic on this, right?
That was 12 News reporter Sheena Lasciuto. Shortly after that tour, 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi sat down with Buttigieg for an exclusive one-on-one to talk money, timing, and more.
Secretary Buttigieg, thanks for sitting down with me to talk. And of course, as you'd expect, I have to start with the Washington Bridge, which is a big part of the reason you're here to visit today. I know you've been hearing about the problem for months from the governor, from the senators, from others, but this was your first time on the ground seeing the situation. I know you had coffee with Mayor DeSilva in East Providence. What's your biggest takeaway from your visit today?
Well, the biggest thing you see is the impact that this is having on families, on small businesses, especially in East Providence, but really across the entire region. We've been involved from day one looking at how we can support Rhode Island, the state, the governor, the DOT, as they're working to get things back to normal. But there's no substitute for being able to have those conversations on the ground. So I was here, yes, to see the bridge, but mostly to see the people who are involved in dealing with it and make sure that we're continuing to align all of the resources that we can at the federal level to support people on the ground getting this work done.
What's been the biggest ask today? What are you hearing from officials? They don't get a lot of FaceTime with you. You have 50 states to worry about. What are they saying to you today?
Well, they're appreciative of the technical support. Definitely want to keep that coming. We have Federal Highway Administration engineers and personnel working side by side with RIDOT to develop the solutions and work on things in the interim that can try to mitigate it even before the bridge is completely replaced. And the other thing, of course, is funding. We have nearly $2 billion now that's been headed to Rhode Island through the infrastructure plan. The majority of that's been for transportation, and the pace for getting the bridge done is related to the bigger picture of how we get those road and highway dollars into the state of Rhode Island. So I heard a lot from elected officials about how to keep that coming and what other sources we can find to make sure that we're supporting the work that has to happen.
One thing that's come up constantly since the bridge closed is a project you were involved with, which was that rapid reopening of I-95 in Pennsylvania, when that bridge, I think there was a fire on the bridge, which led to its collapse. I know that was a somewhat different situation. It was over land, this is over water. That bridge had actually collapsed, this one, it was caught. But are there lessons you learned from that? Everyone talked about how unusually rapid that was for a transportation problem. Are there lessons you learned from that are applicable to this bridge crisis?
Yes, look, every situation is different, but there was a highly disruptive I-95 outage in Philadelphia caused by a fiery crash. Also in Los Angeles, a bridge collapse affecting I-10, which was a huge issue for commuters there. Every time that happens, we make sure that we're there to help, and we always learn from the most recent experiences. So seeing the partnership, the value of being side by side with the state, looking at how to get creative on engineering and funding, certainly we're taking those lessons with us as we look at how to help in the Rhode Island situation. Unfortunately, the physics of the bridge are a different story here, but the importance of working together is clearly the same.
2026 is the target announced last week to reopen the bridge. Does that sound doable to you?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but I trust the engineers who've put those estimates together. I would say two things. One, in order to hit that target, it's going to be important to tear down any obstacles that stand in the way. Financial, administrative, bureaucratic, anything that could endanger that timeline. I want to know about it so that we can act on it sooner rather than later. The other thing is it shouldn't take 2 years to get some kind of relief. So one thing that I know is being worked on right now is a way to reconfigure the lanes, to have it be 3 lanes each way instead of 2. Take some of the pressure off. That's not the same as having the bridge done, but that's something that can be done in a matter of weeks rather than 2 years, and could bring some measure of relief to people who count on that bridge every day and just don't have a good alternative.
There's a lot of alarm among state lawmakers about the cost of this. You've alluded to that. Historically, we look at most projects as an 80-20 split, where the feds pick up 80% and the state kicks in 20%. I realize this is a complex project. You can't say today what the funding will be, but lawmakers looking for any guidance. Is that how they should be thinking about where the cost of this might land from your experience with other projects?
I can't predict the final mix, but what I can say is it's clear that in order to get a project of this size and scale done, it's no question that the bulk of it will have to be done with federal funds. We're continuing to work on how best to wire that up, including, when we fund another bridge or another project, like we're doing with the Pell Bridge right now, how that can free up other funds, maybe federal, maybe not, that the state can then program for this project that obviously has made its way to the front of the line. So we'll continue working on that and doing everything we can to be supportive. Covering
these transportation projects over the years, often there's an application project for this project. The old version of this project won a build grant. Yeah. They have to apply to your department. It takes time to have the reviews. Eventually you announce it. How far away are we, or are there more rapid things for emergency situations within your department?
Yeah, there are a lot of steps to go through with federal taxpayer money. They're there for good reason, but we can't let that be the reason this takes even 1 day longer than it has to. So, of course, we're going to make sure the legal requirements are going to be met, everything that has to happen to responsibly use taxpayer funds. But we're not going to let that slow things down unnecessarily. And certainly, having seen this for myself, I'm going to reinforce with our team the importance of working through any of those administrative barriers so that these dollars can flow and so that the project can continue to take place.
When you spoke to reporters at the base of the bridge this morning, I was listening to your comments, and one thing that surprised me was you suggested there'd been no waste in the previous iteration of this project. $37 million was spent rebuilding the deck of this bridge, even though it turns out that the inspections had not been enough to make clear that this bridge was not going to survive and it shouldn't have been repaired, it should have been rebuilt. Should US DOT be that blasé about that amount of federal money being lost on a project that should have been rebuilt from the start?
My point is that I never believe that investing in repairing critical infrastructure is a waste of money. But of course, if DOT had known that this bridge would need to be torn down, there would have been a different plan. But we don't enter into these situations with perfect information, especially a bridge like this that was built with a unique design, possibly the only one of its kind in the country, which turns out that it was uniquely disguising some of the issues that were on the inside. The most important thing to me is that these issues were discovered before and not after a tragedy. And that's one of the reasons why, even in the course of repair work, we require a very high standard of engineering and inspection.
So this is a very unusual bridge. For you, again, you look at bridges all over the country. It really is a quite unusual design. We've heard that locally.
Yeah, we're working to find out if there are any other bridges in this situation, because then they have some checking to do on things that were not routinely checked, because the way that the design actually obscures some of the components that in this case proved to have a problem. But again, that's exactly why there are so many layers of inspection, so many layers of process around any kind of new construction or reconstruction, rehabilitation, or repair. And in this case, it was very important that this rehabilitation happen. Let me put it another way. If we were not supporting the repairs on this bridge, we might never have learned that the bridge actually needed to be replaced completely.
Mm-hmm. Realistically, you have 50 states to worry about. I just saw you were out at the I-5 bridge, which is a bridge crisis out in the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. I'm sure when you visit each town, you say your bridge is important to me, but where does this stack on the different emergencies you see in the different parts of the country?
This definitely is something that is on a national radar. Every state matters, every bridge matters, but when you think about the average daily traffic here, 90,000 cars a day, vehicles a day, counting on that passage, the economic impact, the human impact, you see just how important it is to make sure there's a solution here. So this is something that's being tracked at my level, at the highest level of the Federal Highway Administration, and will be until things are back to normal for people in and around Providence.
As we get close to wrapping up, I have to ask you about another big bridge project in this region, the Cape Cod bridges. Yeah. The Massachusetts has a pending request in front of you for a little over $1 billion for that. I've heard rumors maybe a decision is coming the next couple weeks or 2 months on that program. How are Massachusetts odds?
So we've already announced significant support for that connection that is so vital to Cape Cod, and I can't speak to anything that might be coming down the line, but we're fully aware of how much of a concern this is. And this is one where we're partnering with the Army Corps of Engineers as well as the state Commonwealth of Massachusetts and with our own dollars to try to deal with this. There are cases like this, not many of them, but there are cases around the country where you've got something that on one hand has to get done, and on the other hand has not been possible because the funding hasn't been there. It's one of the reasons why President Biden pushed so hard to get this infrastructure plan through. Now we're putting it to work to try to address those backlogs and those needs that have been building up over decades.
Final question. You just toured the Building Futures apprenticeship program here. We just interviewed a builder recently for a housing series we did at my station, and he said one of the problems is that not enough young people going into the building trades. What can be done to try to change that? I know it is something your department has been looking at and thinking about.
Yeah, I remember when I first got involved in public life, we saw so many union workers out of work in 2009 and 2010, and the question is, where can we find the work? Now we're asking a different question. Where can we find the workers? And the answer is here. There are so many good-paying union jobs being created. We need to pick up the pace on workforce readiness and continue working with the building trades unions, programs like this, pre-apprenticeships as well as apprenticeships to get people ready. We know that America has the talent to get these jobs done, but that talent has not always been linked to the opportunity. That's why it's so inspiring to talk to these graduates of the pre-apprenticeship program, some of whom have a family background in the trades, some of whom had never heard of it. I talked to one guy who was an Uber driver, and one of the guys he was giving a ride to explained this opportunity, and then he signed up. Someone who's just out of incarceration, somebody who's just out of art school, so many different people whose backgrounds have led them to the opportunity to have a good paying job, a stable life, food on the table, a home for their family. And that's really what this infrastructure decade is all about.
Secretary Buttigieg, thanks for taking time to sit down with me.
Thank you.
When we come back, some insight into the federal investigation into the Washington Bridge with a former U.S. attorney and current Attorney General Peter Neronha. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White. Federal investigators have launched an investigation into the westbound Washington Bridge. This week, my colleague and 12 News anchor at 4, Kim Kalunian, asked Attorney General Peter Neronha, a former U.S. attorney, what those investigations look like.
I just want to ask you briefly to put back on your former U.S. attorney hat. We reported on this trove of documents that the Rhode Island DOT has now handed over to the Department of Justice as they do their probe into the Washington Bridge breakdown. Talk to us, if you can, about what happens from here now that the DOJ has those documents in hand.
Yeah, so I haven't spoken to them about specifically what they're doing, but this is what I would do if I were working the case as an AUSA or leading a U.S. attorney. Is you get the documents. And what they've said they're looking for are false claims submitted to the federal government for payment. So they're going to want to know, well, who submitted claims for payment, and then to see whether or not what they charged for was in fact delivered because the federal government was paying for it. And then from there you would question witnesses based on the documents. So you want your documents before you question witnesses, in sort of depositions in that context. Because you want to confront them with documents or see what they have to say about things they've represented to the federal government.
And how much time? I know we always talk about how it's hard to tell time with these types of things. This is going to take a while, I imagine.
I mean, particularly in the federal system, everything is very thorough, as it should be. But things take time. A lot of it is managing your documents, getting them all to a place where you can readily access them and search for terms. Everything's electronic now, so you put everything in a database. You'll come up with search terms that you're looking for, and then just to line up interviews takes a long time in terms of getting representation for those witnesses. So I would expect really not a matter of months, but a matter of years.
Switching gears now, turning to something that happened just last night. There was a public forum, a public hearing on the proposed sale of 2 local hospitals. We're talking about Fatima and Roger Williams, from Prospect Charter Care to Centurion. Ultimately, it's something that your office has to sign off on, and we know you were there last night.
I was.
And I know there's still a long way to go in this process, but at this point, do you think this sale would be a good thing for the people of Rhode Island?
Well, what we're dealing with are 2 distressed hospitals, frankly, and they're distressed because their current owner has put them in that position. A lot of great men and women work out there and deliver great patient care. They're incredibly important to our healthcare system here, but their owner doesn't care about healthcare, and so we are faced with a prospect between, no pun intended, between the current owner maintaining ownership for however long a period of time, and a new owner about which we still have questions, which is why we're going through the process. So I can't tell you, Kim, as I stand here right now, whether it's good or not for Rhode Island, but I know we're in a difficult position because we have an owner that doesn't care about them, but we also have to make sure that the prospective new owner is someone who will deliver health care the way Rhode Islanders expect it to be delivered. So that's a process, and we're going through it right now.
There have been multiple instances recently where federal immigration authorities have admonished the state, quite frankly, for releasing alleged criminals despite them having ICE detainers. There's been a lot of finger pointing here about who's responsible, so let's try to cut to the chase.
Sure.
Is there a law in place in Rhode Island that's sort of tying the state's hands that makes officials unable to detain these alleged criminals?
Well, the devil is in the details. There are 3 ways that someone who might be in the country illegally can be detained lawfully. If there's a warrant for them issued by an Article 3 federal judge, the kind of judge you take Judges McConnell, Smith, and McElroy here in the state of Rhode Island. So that's a criminal warrant. There is an order of deportation signed by an immigration judge. Those things, those 2 things will allow you to detain someone in the country unlawfully indefinitely until that federal process takes place. What's problematic are these federal detainers, where an ICE agent delivers a detainer based on what they think should be sufficient for the person to be held in the country, to be held by the state officials indefinitely. And so the problem with that is if it's not based on probable cause, the state could be sued. And so as a practical matter, what it comes down to is this. If it's an order of deportation from an immigration court or a criminal warrant issued by a federal court, the state can hold them. If they can't, we put ourselves in jeopardy because we could be sued afterwards. But that's really parsing all that, figuring out which situation you're in is a matter for the ACI and the Sheriff's Department in the end.
And so just briefly, do you think in these most recent cases anyone did anything that they shouldn't have?
Well, I don't have all the facts, Kim, because they're not my agencies, as I pointed out before, but it's pretty simple. If there's an order of deportation and there's a federal court criminal warrant, they can be detained indefinitely. If you're doing it, if you're holding them just on an agent's detainer without a specific finding of probable cause by a judge, you're really putting yourself in jeopardy as the state for doing something without probable cause.
And we're almost out of time, but last time you were here, we were talking about the ongoing ILO investigation. Yeah. You said you were waiting to talk to a couple of people. Have you been able to have those conversations?
Well, the process is complete. You know, whether witnesses will agree to a conversation with us is up to them, but the process is complete. It's a matter now of documenting what we found and making the legal determinations we have to make, and I hope to finish that up fairly soon.
All right, Attorney General Peter Neronha, thank you as always for being here on 12 News at 4.
Thanks, Kim. Good to be with you.
When we come back, 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi will join me looking ahead at the outlook of federal funding for the Washington Bridge. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi. Ted, good interview with Secretary Buttigieg. That was shot by the very talented videographer Ryan Welch with an assist by Jack McGurk. Ted, we ran that interview with Buttigieg earlier in the program. The day of his visit to tour the Washington Bridge, Senator Jack Reed sent out a statement, and I want to read a piece of it and then have you break it down for us. And this is what Jack Reed said in that statement. The state has undertaken its preliminary review, but I can't stress enough that speed and quality are vitally important here. All funding options are on the table, but the driver for next steps is when the state has its full plan ready. Reed, we should point out, is on the Senate Appropriations Committee. Ted, translate this for us.
Well, look, I mean, everywhere you go, especially talking to higher level officials, they're all like, Jack's going to save us. Right? Senator
Right.
Reed, he's got the juice in Washington. He's on appropriations. He's going to get some big pile of federal money to help with the bridge. And Reed is ready to try to do that, clearly. He sees that as one of his roles as a senator. But I think his point, and it fits with a point you heard from Buttigieg in that interview earlier, is the federal officials can't even begin to discuss grants that might be available to Rhode Island until there is an official plan to actually get this done.
Can't apply for the money until we see at the end of the day what the plan is going to be, the blueprint. It's very difficult to put in for that money, and we're not. Yeah, that's okay. Live TV.
Perils of live television.
Yeah, and we're not hearing Jack Reed just say this as well, Ted. There are other elected officials who have said the same thing, including House Speaker Shekarchi sort of prodding them on.
And I think the point is, we're talking about not having a full plan until the end of July with an actual cost estimate. The cost estimate we have so far isn't from someone who's laid eyes on the bridge to say, I'm going to build the new bridge. Mm-hmm. So they need that, and then you can start applying. I mean, we talked in that, Secretary Buttigieg and I talked about the Cape Cod bridges.
Right.
Massachusetts officials have been pushing for that money for years, applying for this grant and that grant and waiting. And so, we're looking at roughly 8 months from the initial closure of the bridge to when we expect to have a contract awarded for the work. And again, my understanding would be only when that contract is available and there's a real plan for what to do can they move forward with official asks for extra federal money.
Boy, when you put it like that 2-year time frame they put out sounds aggressive. We'll see. We'll keep track of it. If you missed any of Newsmakers, it's on WPRI.com. For Ted Nesi, I'm Tim White. We will see you next week on Newsmakers.